Now if we try to do the same playing the e4, white will take bishop g7, king g7, knight e4, and after knight e4, f e4. This endgame without a dark square bishop is very different. First, white successfully take f e4, and after queen d2, rook d2, there is no more bishop h6 answer. And if we go here c5, there is no dark square bishop on g7, and white can go e5. So not losing the e4 pawn. And here after rook a c8, when we want to go c4, c3, white plays bishop c4, blocking our c4 move, and this endgame is a little bit better for white. Instead of that, after bishop h6, here we are in time to continue our plan with queen c7, rook d8, and then c5. Now h4, we go rook a d8, and we are absolutely in time after h5 to take d e4 with tempo. That's why after rook a d8, there is an interesting option for white to take bishop g7 first. Now we should take king g7, because if you take d e4 and attacking the d2 queen and then trying to take g7 bishop, white will play queen h6. Bishop on g7 is protected and we are piece down. That's why after bishop g7 we should take king g7. And now white goes h5. Now when they changed at first our dark square bishop, here after h5 we cannot go anymore d4. We can, but it's bad. White goes h6 check, and here our king is having problems. We can go king g8 or king f8, it's almost same. King f8 is a little bit better, but the problem is same. White plays queen g5, strong move, attacking our f6 knight. After queen e7, when we protect the f6 knight, there is a super move for white, queen e5. And suddenly our knight is pinned, knight cannot move because of queen g7 checkmate, our queen cannot disturb this queen on e7 because f6 will hang, and our other pieces also cannot disturb the queen on e5. Next move, white wants to go knight e4 using this pinned knight on f6, because after knight e4 we cannot take knight e4, queen g7 checkmate. If we go c5, knight e4 and take this knight with the bishop, then after f e4 we are having problem with rook f1 move. Rook f1, knight should move, and here we have problems. So after bishop g7, king g7, h5, here instead of the e4 we take knight h5. And here after g4 again we are in time, we take d e4, opening here our rook, and white queen cannot go somewhere successfully. If queen e3, trying after knight f6 to give some check and continue the attack, we have nice move queen f4. And after changing the queens we will be pawn up endgames. After h5, knight h5, white can try to sacrifice exchange, but after rook h5, gh5, the attack is not enough. White's problem is that knight c3 and bishop b3 are far from our king. After queen g5 check, we can go king h8 and offering opponent a draw, but it's better after queen g5 to go king f8 and continue the fight. After queen h6 we can run with our king. There is no more sacrifices on d5. And after queen g5 check, king f8, white can try to go e5 and try to go rook h1, rook h5. But here we go queen e7, queen h6 check, king g8, rook h1, and here we need to push f6 and protect the h7 pawn, and also to go queen g7. So we play rook f8, preparing next move f6. After knight e2 or rook h5, we have same answer. We go f6 and queen g7, and white has not enough compensation for exchange. As here h5, knight h5, g4 didn't work because of the e4 move, white can try at first take ed5, and then go h5. But here we take knight h5, g4 and knight f4. Here we are getting f4 very important square. Queen h2, h7 is hanging, and here instead of protecting our pawn with rook h8 with passive way, because after queen h6 check, king g8, our rook on h8 will not feel him very good. After queen h2 we play here h5. gh5, we cannot take knight h5 because of this pin, and also we don't take gh5, opening our king on g7. Instead of that we go here g5, very strong move. And here suddenly a white attack finishes. Our G pawn closes the G line. Next move we are going to play F6. So F6, G5, Knight F4 protects everything here. And H pawn, opponent not allowing to attack with H line. H6, any moment our king is staying on H7. White's the biggest problem is Knight C3 and Bishop B3, which are far from the game. Bishop B3 cannot join here the game, and Knight C3 also. There is no good square for this Knight on C3. While we are going to play Rook E8, Rook E5, Rook E8, or Queen E5 in the center, and our king is in absolute safe due to our super Knight on F4. So, after Bishop H6, we go Queen C7, H4, Rook D8, we want to take D4, and after Bishop G7, King G7, we were fine in both cases. After H5, we take Knight H5, and after ED5, ED5, H5, Knight H5, G4, Knight F4, Queen H2, H5, with idea GH5, G5, we are fine. Now let's go to White's last option. After Bishop B7, when White try to go Knight A4, Knight C5, block at first our C5, counterplay, and then go H4.